to your farming training course. This is one of the first videos that we're doing of our staple training. I'm really excited. We have James Cottrell here. He's going to go over some of the main tips and skill sets that you're going to need to go out there and be really effective in your farming. So without taking up too much time, I'm going to introduce James and let him really take it away.
Good morning. Welcome. So today we're going to go over farming, which is really, I believe, a backbone of where your business should be. Talking to some major coaches throughout the area, they're given numbers that about 35% of their business is coming directly from their farm. And of course, you know, that's assuming that it's done properly, and that's what our training is about today. So if you, selecting a farm is really up, to your choice. Some people like to choose an area that's close to their home, close to their office. Obviously, the more convenient you can make it to get there and be on top of things, I think is important. Picking a farm, there's a couple different approaches. I particularly like to start small and not overwhelm yourself with the sheer numbers of it. Pick something that you think you can hit at least on a quarterly basis one time, but it's really integral to get some foot traffic and in the farm area, probably about 500 homes and hitting it once a month. So I know Joseph had a little bit of a different mindset. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to go? Okay. So really in a farm area, you want to look at the 7 to 8% turnover rate. And you can contact a title rep, and they can help you out selecting that farm area for that. We have several title reps, and you can contact Jerry directly that he can put you in contact with to give you that information. What I like to do, though, is really start in the MLS level. So if you have an area that you're looking for, dive in, look in the map feature in the search area, and literally, draw it out. So you have, an area here. Say you have a property right here. You can go into the MLS under the search criteria, and you can draw a map. You can draw however you want around areas. You can go by school district. You can go by schools, however you want to do it. But once you do that, save that as a saved search. And you simply do that by clicking at the bottom, and you'll see a tab that says Save Search. You can save that search, and then you can go in here and you can look at these numbers over the last, I believe MLS data is saved for, I believe about 6 years or more back. And Jerry probably has some better numbers on that, but I contacted the board a while, and I'm sure it'll get longer in the future because the storage technology is better. But you can go back as far as you want, so you can see that whole area. You can see what the sales have been for, as far as you want to go back. I would recommend going back a year, seeing how many sales are in that area, and looking at how many agents are making those sales. If you start to see one dominant agent in there, maybe it's a good point to take a look at what they're doing as far as marketing by simply Googling their name or looking at their office or seeing what kind of online marketing. Even going in and looking at the types of photos that they have, their property descriptions, if there's any type of a virtual tour on it, see what kind of information they're giving on these listings, because that'll give you a huge insight onto how they're winning in that market. So that's definitely where I'd start. Once you save that search, you can also enter in your information as a contact in your MLS. And set yourself up on a safe search, so when there's any new activity, you're going to get emailed directly. You're going to get emailed, and I would set it up on your search as active pending. I would all the fields, so that if something cancels out, you're going to get an immediate email knowing that it canceled or expired. Maybe that's one you want to hit. Another thing is all the actives. When something goes active, one of my huge strategies is 10, 10, and 20. So whenever something new goes on the MLS, whether it's my listing or something another agent's, I always like to put a marketing piece together and knock 10 on each side of the home that just listed and 20 across the street. and you're simply providing information. You're in no way are you trying to assume that it's your listing. You're just going and literally saying, hey, just so you know, your neighbors right next door just listed their property. Here's the information on it. And if you have any questions about it, or you might know somebody that's interested in it, let me know. I'd be more than happy to show them. I can even schedule a private showing for you if you have some interest. A lot of times neighbors are curious. Of course, check the showing instructions prior to offering that, just to make sure that it's available for showing as go direct, or if you need to schedule an appointment that you're taking care of that. So what do you say? I have a script here that is available. You can email Jerry and he can give it out to you. But hello, my name is James Cottrell from Carrington Real Estate. I sell a lot of homes in the area, and I just wanted to stop by to see if there might be any real estate needs or questions might be able to assist you today. Simple as that. I mean, you can start, if they say no, say great, here's the information, thank you very much. I mean, at no way are you trying to be pushy. I mean, you're really trying to provide information and value at this point to these people. I know Joseph's going to talk a little bit about that, but again, you're looking for ongoing business, and you're looking not for immediate business tomorrow. You may get a listing, great. I've had success door knocking in a farm, and I've gotten a listing right out of it. That's amazing, and there is opportunity for that. But I think really, as I started with, 35% of your business comes from that. That means ongoing repeat business. That means this is the marketing that you're continually doing, I would say at least once a month, keeping up with these people, keeping them abreast of the market, keeping them informed of all the new properties that have come on the market. And when you start doing this, you're going to have some great information to give these people. Because if you look at past sales, if you've been doing this for the year, you're going to see, wow, everyone's right. Summer is the hot market because that's when most of these properties came on the market. So you're going to be able to see the cyclical structure of the sales in that area. And after you've been doing it for 6 months or a year, you're going to have really valid information to tell these people. You're going to be able to tell them that prices went up 3% over the last year, or prices have dropped 2%, or prices are here, but they're actually selling for 5% under market price. So those are all things that people want to know. Everybody can go online now and check their home value, but what differentiates you from that is that you have the numbers to be able to adjust those to real life issues. So what do you give out? This is what I give out. Nothing fancy. I usually do it in black and white. This is our Carrington market report. You can sign up to these on your Boomtown website. If you go on your front end website, you click on communities up at the top. You drop down and it'll say ask about communities, I believe. You can sign up for this, and each one of you will get your market update for whatever zip code you put in. This is what I farm with. This is all done, ready to go. You don't have to do anything to create this. The only thing I may do, staple my business card to it, or if you really want to be cheap like me, I put my business card on there, make a photocopy of it, then I don't have to give out business cards either. I'm just giving out one sheet with my business card already on there. And then on the back, whatever feature you want. I like to have this for a free CMA. I have a website they can go to and log in there, and they can get a free CMA. This is an advertisement. I don't always use this one, but this has been effective, and this is certainly a strategy. You may put on there your home search through Carrington. We have Boomtown, which is excellent. They'll have to register if they start searching on there. When they register, now they become a contact. You can put them in there, and you can follow up with them through email and phone and all the other methods, as well as the door knock. Now they're really going to start seeing you, and they're really going to know that you're an authority in the area. So what I would do for that one is maybe just put all the homes that are currently active and say, want to search for homes too? Right there. Put a link to your Carrington website to search, and there's your market piece. I mean, it's literally as simple as that. I don't think you have to go huge on doing that. Now, some things that I would do is if I start meeting people, maybe provide them a little more valuable items, maybe tips on selling their home, or tips on getting their home ready for a sale, tips on moving. There's a million things that you can give them to add value to that. Another thing that's really helpful, or excuse me, I'll save that one. So when you do have a listing in that area, you really want to maximize your exposure in there. So you really want to hit it with 4 door knocks. And those 4 door knocks are when you take the listing, when it's in escrow, and when it closes, and it's sorry, and for your open house. Sorry, I forgot the 4th one, but that's really an important one because you want people to show up. So you're going to hit those 4 door knocks, and again, hit as many homes as you can. But I live by the 10, 10, and 20 rule because I know that's feasible for me. I have children, I work, so a lot of times time's an issue. I know I can hit the 10, 10, and 20 those 4 times through going through that, and that's really important to me. Also, talking to your title rep, they can set you up on some different tools through the farming area. And one thing you can dive into, which they have in their title profile, is you can look at next sellers. And what this does is it puts together basically an algorithm. It's not 100%, but it's at least gives you some targeted people to talk to. So what it does is it goes through, and in this farm area, you literally click a button. You pick the track, you click a button, and you click next seller. And it's going to pull up, say, maybe 20 homes or 20 or 30 sellers in that area that could potentially be next sellers. Now, those are people generally that have lived there, over 6 years. They have equity. They're in a position that they may want to make a move or, do something there. And then you can have a different message to them. You may be a little more aggressive on like, hey, property values are up. You guys interested in selling? And if you were only mailing, say you have 500 homes, it's going to be fairly expensive at 50 cents a stamp. You're talking about $250. But if you can narrow it down to 30 people, you could easily send them some type of a message through the mail, inquiring if they have an interest in selling or in needing your services. So that's something that will really keep your expenses down and keep things going. And at this point, I'm going to give Joseph the stage here.
Good stuff.
And see if he has any questions.
Yeah, and what's awesome is that one of the things that you'll learn about James, and one of the reasons why he's so valuable when it comes to learning on how to farm really well, is that James knows how to provide really great value to somebody without making himself obsolete or obsolescent. So James knows his information, like he showed you guys with some of the Carrington items that he has. So he knows numbers like this. He knows a track or an area. So if he's standing at the front door with somebody and they're like, hey, what do you think my home's worth? James knows how to turn that conversation into more of the general area, either zip code, neighborhood, and give really great value in terms of what's happening in the market, but not so much where he goes, oh, I think your home could sell for $450, and it's like, great, I don't need to set an appointment with this guy.
Right.
I've got what I needed from him. So diving into these numbers and understanding what's happening in your farm is super helpful, because that way you know how to give that kind of dialogue without giving away anything for them to still meet with you. So James is super powerful in that regard and has helped me tremendously. Now, one of the things that I'll say about farming is that farming is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Meaning that you don't need to get super worried about the marketing piece. You don't have to get really dialed into what kind of mailer. Keep it simple, but it's still not necessarily easy, meaning you still have to go out there and do the work. Right? So putting together the marketing piece, don't make that a big issue. Get something simple together like James talked about, but more importantly, get out there and do the work. Get out there and door knock. Have the consistency like he talked about. And we'll get into a little bit of some of the how oftens in terms of farming, just to make sure that you're effective. I'll also tell you what farming is not. Farming is not hunting. There's a reason why we call it farming and not hunting. All right? What does that mean exactly? Well, you know, if we're door knocking a neighborhood and we're going to go there once, right? We might go there with the intention of trying to secure a listing that day. That's hunting. And I'm not saying hunting is bad, but that's not what you do on your farm. So when you're farming, you're farming. Meaning, when you're hunting, you're out going for the kill right then and there. You're trying to secure some dinner. Farming, you're planting seeds. You're supplying water. You're really trying to harvest something, which takes time, consistency, and care. So farming is not hunting. Meaning, don't go out into your farm and try and slay the dragon day one, because that's really not the impression that you want to give to your farm. You really want to make your farm feel a lot more comfortable with you, that you are the real estate resource, that you're someone that they can reach out and talk to and know that they're not going to necessarily get pitched every single time. So with that said, James mentioned that there's different approaches to selecting your farm. Now, I like to look at my farm as a bigger area. I like to go with 1,500 homes. And then through some of the tools that he mentioned with some of our title reps, using the analytics that they can provide on different tools that they have, I like to find out who are the top 20% next likely sellers. And there are other service providers that are paid for. James and I use one that's called SmartZip as an example. There's a lot of different service providers that can drill in and find this data. Basically, there's a lot of different algorithms to determine who the top 20% are in an area based on what their online searches are, based on how long they've been in the property, based on whether or not they have equity. And that will ultimately hone in on who's likely going to sell their home next. So when I do this and drill down, we kind of come up with the same numbers essentially, but in a bigger area, now I'm really looking at the people who are probably likely to sell next. So my focuses are on the same number of properties, but James's approach makes it easier because then you're going to every door, where I might skip 2 streets to go to a door and then 3 houses on the next street. So it just changes it up a little bit. At the end of the day, just pick whatever is going to work best for you. We just want to make sure you guys have an idea of what both strategies can be. Coming into a communication plan with your farm, James really nailed it. But there's a bunch of different things that you can do. So when it comes to your farm, you want to be in front of them, all right? You want to make sure that they understand that you are their resource, that you have great information, and that you're around. You know, you can't go and farm once a year and then expect to gain any traction. You have to have a consistent communication plan for it to really start to dig roots into that farm area. So one really effective way to communicate with your farm is by simply going out there and door knocking. If you can get the data, phone calls can be as effective and of course very efficient. If you have phone numbers, I've also seen where people can do text messages to their farm as well. Different strategies, and when you're farming, you don't necessarily want to just go with one. You're going to want to make sure that you have a few different media, making, again, sure that you're around, giving the impression that you have success in the industry, and just helping them to see that if there is information that they need, you're a really good resource for them. Another great way to make sure that your farm knows about you and where you're at, mailers. I've also seen people, instead of necessarily mailing it, having the flyers done. I've seen people go as far as doing Facebook ads, but you definitely want to make sure as you start getting email addresses, you want to make sure they're on a drip campaign. And I hope that this is showing up because my pen's starting to die. Sorry about that, I'm going to switch it up. But this is like the ninja kind of approach or strategy to add. Some people do Facebook pages. So you can do, one of my farm areas is an area called University Grove. So I could set up a Facebook page that I manage called University Grove Association or whatever. And what I can do there is add people to the farm once I get their information or friend request them, add them to that page, and then provide not only real estate information, but any relevant information to the neighborhood, and make that somewhat of a hub for people in the area to start to communicate with. So that's a really great strategy, but again, if we're just keeping it simple and that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. Stick with your door knocking, your phone calls, your mailers, and your email drip campaigns. So then the question becomes, well, how often? I would say when it comes to a personal communication, meaning I'm speaking with you either face-to-face over the phone, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that with everyone in your farm at least one time a quarter. Mailers, flyers, your email drip campaign, you want to make sure that's happening at least once a month. So you know that your farm, and the people in your farm are going to probably speak with you at least once every 3 months, and they're going to get some kind of information from you once a month. That's a really good ongoing strategy, and I'll also tell you that to really break into your farm, you may want to double this effort. Like if you're just going into your farm, try and go out there at least once a month and door knock, and just start to build some familiarity and some rapport with the people in your farm. So you can start to understand the dynamics of the neighborhood, start to understand what kind of information they're looking for, and it'll also give you a really good idea of what's happening in terms of who might be moving next and why. So these are some of the communication strategies that are going to really set you apart from just trying out farming to actually being effective in farming. And like James said, there's a lot of great agents who are doing this, and they're just doing it decently with the right number of homes, and they're getting like 35% of their transactions from their farm. And again, we're not out there trying to slay dragons. We're not having to say the most perfect speech in the world. We're just in front of them, providing the data that we're comfortable with because we provided it. So farming's a really awesome strategy. And again, we're not out there trying to close everyone. So this high pressure situation on the front doorstep isn't happening in your farm. It's just being out there and saying, hey, I'm Joseph, Carrington Real Estate Services. Here's the update for the neighborhood. You know, did you have any questions for me? If you ever do, feel free to reach out. Anyway, have a great day. See you next time. I always like to set the expectation that they're going to see me again. The one thing about doing that is make sure they see you again. Because if you set that expectation and don't show up for a year, that's not going to look very good. When it comes to adding in some of the core fact information like James mentioned when it comes to mailers, there are again a lot of different tools that you can use to simply have a couple of clicks to make your mailers a lot more efficient. Core fact is incredible. There's a lot of service providers out there. Again, we use one called SmartZip that does that for us. It just depends on where you're at in your farming. Some of the paid for services are not cheap, and then other ones are extremely inexpensive. You just have to do a couple more things on your own to get it done. The point is, if you're going to go with farming as a strategy for proactive lead generation, make sure you're doing it well. It's not hard, it's very simple, but there is effort that you have to go out there and do. The great news is like James mentioned, once you get a listing in your farm, that's when things really start to take off. Because not only are you going out there about once a quarter and giving a market update, not only are they getting flyers from you, but when you secure a listing and you implement the 4 door knocks that we talked about, that's when things really start to get kicked up on your farm. And now they're starting to see what value you add through performance instead of just hearsay or from your marketing. They might get a great marketing piece that says, I'm awesome. And then when you get a listing in there and implement the 4 door knocks plus whatever marketing you do for that listing, now they get a performance based on what they've actually seen you do. So you take a new listing in your farm and you go out and door knock, like James mentioned, the 10, 10, and 20. I've done as many as 100 homes in a farm area, just depending on what my output is and what my availability is. First door knock, hey, Joseph Carrington Real Estate Services, just listed the home down the street on 123 Main Street. Brought you a flyer, this home's going to hit the market on Saturday, whatever it is. And you're just introducing the idea that a home just got listed. I'm not going to ask them to list with me at that point. I'm not asking them for anything. I'm just there to say, hey, brand new listing, here's the information, see you next time. When I'm going to hold an open house on that new listing, knock, knock, hey, Joseph Carrington Real Estate Services. I know I mentioned that I listed that home down the street on 123 Main Street. I'm holding an open house this Saturday from 1 to 3. And I'm really here to personally invite you to a private preview I've set aside for just the neighbors. So I'd love if you can come by between 11 and 1. I'll have some refreshments there for you guys. This will be your sneak peek to the home before the general public. Will you be able to stop by? Yes, no, it doesn't matter. It's great, no problem. Hope to see you there. See you later. No closing involved. Third door knock, as James mentioned, is when the home goes into escrow. Hey, Joseph, Carrington Real Estate Services. We just got that home on Main Street into escrow. You're going to have brand new neighbors pretty soon. And a lot of times people are going to ask you, well, how much did it sell for? Here's a really great way to approach that, because you're really not supposed to mention at this point, right? Just say, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, I can't share with you because the transaction hasn't closed, but I promise you, as soon as we do close, I'll be back to let you know personally exactly what the sales price was and how much equity you hopefully have gained on your home. See you next time. The fourth door knock is really where you've kind of earned the opportunity to ask some questions about closing, if you will. The fourth door knock is, hey, we closed. Escrow is closed. The sale price was this, but hey, guess how many offers we had on that home? And they're going to probably say, I don't know, 2, 3, and tell them the number. You know, if it's 4, tell them 4. If it was 10, tell them 10. But help them understand, as you know, we can only accept one offer on that house, which means if we had 10 offers, I have 9 families standing in line to buy in this neighborhood. Have you considered selling your home? Do you know anyone else around here who's thought about it? Because I have 9 families who want to get in here like right now. And I'd love to set them up with someone who's looking to sell as well. So that's where you can get to close on that fourth door knock. But imagine integrating that and connecting the dots there into your farm area. So when you come back again and do a market update, and if someone's starting to think about selling in a year from now, they already know, hey, this guy said he would do all these things. More importantly, when he got a listing in here, he did it. And he came back around and he shared with us the information. And I saw that he listed it for X amount of dollars and got 10,000 more because of his efforts. You're really setting yourself apart because of your demonstration. So farming is an awesome way to really implement a proactive lead generation into your business. As James mentioned, when you do it right, it can add up to 35% of your total transactions into your business. And it can be a super huge boost. And if you're not someone who's really out there trying to close on everyone, this is it. Farming is the way to go, because you really get to go out there and just be a service provider. And through those efforts and that consistency, people are going to come to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this training. Should you have any questions on this or any of the other items that we have, certainly reach out to me. Thank you again to James Cottrell. That was awesome. If you ever need help like drilling into data, understanding why you do certain things in farming, and of course, anything marketing, this is your man. He's absolutely amazing. Of course, you guys know Stapp's always available as well. So hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.